sure there's lots of predictions for a fast race. The quality at the pointy end of this grid is the best we've ever seen. Qualifying one yesterday, we had 18 cars covered by a second. It was so fiercely competitive. This place will play a role as well. Race control, like on the screen, is James Taylor. He's the race director for this race. His mandate this weekend is RPM, respect, patience, and moment, as in one moment, can change your entire day. So he's been beating that into the drivers over the course of the weekend. It must be said on Friday, varying levels of success, but they've got better and better over the course of the weekend.
Johnny, the guys were standing on the bridge beyond Iceberg Hill corner there because that's the short coming down the water. It's also a bit like things go on in the dark there that you don't really want to talk about.
No, true. And you just wonder whether one or two things might get away with something they might not. Of course, had a number of cars crashed early on in the weekend. This year, we've got that out of our system now, and we can go for some clear laps. And we're trying to hold the safety car where possible. I mean, I quite like the safety car here because it does bunch the field up and it gives one or two a chance. Maybe dark
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sonic Sim Racing. Welcome to Season 7, Round 4. It's not a Thursday night, it's a Saturday night, and we're here for Bathurst, the mountain as they call it. And immediately cars going out on circuit. Slightly longer qualifying session than usual. We're used to a 20-minute qualifying session. We're going to have a 30-minute qualifying session. Obviously this track is just a tad under 6 kilometers long, so you need a little bit of extra time to get around here. And obviously a lot of invalidated laps. Very easy to get invalidated laps, so if you want to get a time down, I want to start at the back of the field. Get a decent run in qualifying. A lot of cars getting out on circuit almost immediately, knowing they need to set that benchmark. So we're racing tonight on a Saturday for round 4. It's a slightly longer race than the usual. We're used to 90-minute races, 1.5 hours that is. Today it's a 2-hour race around Bathurst. Slightly longer qualifying session, as I mentioned. And a very, very challenging circuit. Think of a 5-kilometer Monaco around a mountain. And that's basically what you've got here. You have to stay concentrated. A lot of barriers, not far off the circuit, very easy to get damaged. Lots of cars out on circuit, no lap times as of yet. Like I said, it's a long lap. These guys just on their first lap, so it's their out lap, so it's going to take a while till we see some times on our screens. Panorama, also the venue for the first ever, no, not the first ever, that's the first ever Australian Grand Prix after World War II. The first ever Australian Grand Prix was actually held at Phillip Island. Try and picture that. So far no times. 16 runners tonight. A few guys missing out on the action. Load shedding has been doing its rounds in South Africa, so if 1 or 2 drivers are missing on behalf of that, I would not be surprised. Qualifying will be important. Having a car that is set up right for the race is going to be far more important, and I need to stay comfortable. 2 hours of racing. 3 Ferraris in the field, 3 Audis in the field, 3 Porsche, and 4 Bentleys, 2 McLarens. So no one, I was about to say no one driving solo today, but of course, Springbok Gamer in the Lexus, the only Lexus on the night. As you are watching on your screens, the qualifying session, there is daylight. When we start the race, it will be dark. It will be 4 a.m. in track time, and the race will go on until about 12 o'clock lunchtime, track time. So we're racing through the morning. There will be that transition period. First lap times coming in. Nick Leon goes fastest at 2:02.9. Other guys can go quicker than that. We saw them go quicker than that in practice. So these times will come down. JD for the time being goes second. Eleanor Pace there goes fourth. Still waiting for times from Nizmax, from Gavpig, Legend, all out on track. Roadrunner Sania. B Racing and Kuda, all out on circuit, looking for those initial lap times, trying to set their benchmark. Welcome to Vinze in the comment section. Nice to see you supporting Sonic Sim. Welcome also to Anthony in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to Sonic Sim Racing, give the channel a like and give it a subscribe so you can see our future races. Also do points of view where SSR represents in various PC leagues. So to get all the SSR action, subscribe to the channel. You'll get all the broadcast, you'll get all the point of views, and you'll get to know everything that Sonic Sim is up to. Another car goes over the line. This time it's Nismax in the Porsche. She goes over the line in I'll tell you, it's a 203.7, I think. So no one in the 202s just yet. Just Nick Leon with a 202.9. I think that time is still going to come down severely. You see as the guys warm up to the track, the tyres, the brakes, everything warming up. Car getting lighter, running a stint of 2 or 3 laps. You get faster probably as you keep going. These lap times will come down, but remember it's Mount Panorama, 6-kilometer circuit, almost as long as Spa. You don't want to waste too much time in the pits without a lap time, because you can get caught out here and start at the back of the field. Not something you want to do around this track. Fairly narrow in places, one of the more classic circuits. Right now with Sania, one of the quicker drivers so far this season. He has been a prominent fixture in the top 5 at least of qualifying for every race so far. He has not yet set a lap time in the Ferrari, looking for his first lap time. Maybe got an invalidated lap on the first time round. Mike DeGard also in the McLaren. Nice colour scheme there, reminding me of the Formula 1 car. Still no lap time from him. Then we need lap times from the other 2 Porsches, B Racing and Foss. The 3rd Porsche, Nismax, has set a lap time. He's currently sitting in 6th. Kuda 7th, Legend 8th. Lap time's not close for the time being. I imagine those first laps were benchmarks for everybody. If you want to top the timing sheets, there's just parts of this circuit you've really just got to close your eyes and have the guts to believe the car can find the grip. And we'll see that later on in the qualifying session when guys got desperate for a couple of tenths. You may even see incidents when guys are looking for that last tenth. Gavin in the Bentley, so a staple brand for him. Moved around quite a bit when getting ACC, and then seems like found the Bentley, and it's been his staple since. Likes the big car, known to most of the players as the Tank. To Evan as well in the comment section. Thanks for tuning in, catching up on the action. Sonic Sim Racing, we're in qualifying, 20 minutes to go, 10 minutes have already passed. 11 of your drivers have set lap times. Another 5 still need to set lap times. Voss and Surpreza sitting in the pits. No movement from them just yet. No lap time from Sania, Gavin or Springbok Gamer. Those are the drivers that still need to set lap times. Nick Leon has gone fastest. Took 4 tenths out of the... Oh wow, he took quite a bit. He took 1.4 seconds out of the previous best. That's a 2:01.4. Laying down the gauntlet very early. 20 minutes to go. Everybody knows what they need to catch. Clay is in second and he's call it 1.5 seconds down the road. Eleanor also 1.5 seconds down the road. C8's 1.9 seconds down the road. Could just call him Fluffy Butt, but that sounds ridiculous. Kuda in 6th. JD 7th. Sania goes 2nd. Ferrari's 1st and 2nd. How many times have we seen that this season? 1.3 seconds is the gap between those Ferraris, so big gap. Right now with the Audi. Velenar pace. He enters onto the main straight to record another lap time. Let's see if he can improve, bring that lap time down. Currently 4th, 1.5 seconds adrift. No improvement from him. Springbok Gamer in the Lexus. So Nick Leon still the fastest for now. Sania 2nd, Clay in 3rd, Eleanor pace 4th, Roadrunner 5th. A lot of action out on track, a lot of cars out on track, just 4 cars sitting in the pits. Everyone trying to get lap times done. With it being such a long race circuit, you're not gonna see very close lap times. I think it's a lot less likely. So now what can we expect? We still have 3 cars without a lap time. We have Force, who has not left the pits. We have Surpreza, who I'm not sure if he's left the pits. I haven't seen any action of him on track. We've got Springbok Gamer, who hasn't set a lap time, but he has been out on track for quite some time, so I don't know if he's getting invalidated laps or if he's just struggling with something. But no lap time from him as of yet. Leon still leads up front. Gavin has gone 2nd, so he splits the Ferraris with the Bentley. Showed a lot of pace in practice. Times are now officially quicker than the times we saw in practice, so we're in uncharted territory. Times are just going to get quicker. 15 minutes to go in qualifying. Then we have a 2-hour endurance race around the street circuit, Mount Panorama. Back to qualifying. If you do hear it awkward silence, I'm replying to a text. Not very professional, but what can I do? Nick Leon still leads, Gavin 2nd, Sania 3rd. Gavin second, Sania 1 position down again. He slips down to 4th because Eleanor has improved in the Audi. He's gone 3rd. Very, very close to Gavin's time. I said we wouldn't get close times, but there we go. Nothing in it between those two, 2nd and 3rd. Just a whisker. Sania 4th, Nismax 5th. Clay is still 6th. Got Roadrunner in 7th, Kuda 8th. Legend still there in the top 10. Don't want to start too far down this field. It'll be very interesting into turn 1. Remember guys, this is a 2-hour race. No need for any heroics into turn 1. Got 2 hours to get the passes made. 2 hours to make the best possible move. Don't do anything silly in turn 1. This car is not going to be fun to drive around a 6-kilometer mountain circuit if it's damaged. Leon still on provisional pole from Gavin from Eleanor. Sania 4th, Nismax 5th. Clay 6th, Roadrunner 7th, Buddha 8th. Man in 9th. I'm trying not to say the name, but I'm gonna have to say it eventually. His name is Fluffy Butt. Interesting. Just rolls off the tongue. He's in 9th. This is his debut, I believe. I haven't seen him on circuit prior to this round, so I believe this is his debut. Wouldn't be a bad way to start things off. 9th place in qualifying at Mount Panorama. Still no movement from Force. He remains in the pits, as does Supreza. Springbok Gamer has set the lap time. He's currently in 13th. Leon remains in the pits. Can somebody beat that lap time? Can somebody beat that benchmark? 2:01.401. Do the guys have what it takes? Gavin is in 2nd, but look at that, he's 1.2 seconds down the road, so Leon looks quite in control of proceedings as we look at things now. There is Gavin, currently in 2nd, looking to improve that lap time. Where do you find time around Mount Panorama? Well, you gotta give it everything. You gotta use every bit of racetrack. Get close to the... You gotta get close to the concrete barriers even when it's uncomfortable. You just gotta throw everything at it. Does Gavin improve? No, he doesn't. He stays 2nd, 1.2 seconds adrift of your provisional pole sitter, Nick Leon. Can Sania do something? He's been a lot closer to Nick Leon in the other Ferrari in prior rounds. 1.3 seconds is the gap between the two Ferraris. Looks like a really close battle from 2nd all the way down to 9th. Time's really close. It's just that provisional pole that's sticking out like a sore thumb. Head and shoulders above the rest. 1.2 seconds up the road. Don't really know what to call that, but that's domination of a session. Max is back in the Porsche. So just a reminder, all the drivers in the Sonic Sim Season 7 at the beginning of the season were asked to pick 2 cars. So everybody does have 2 manufacturers. The reason for that is some tracks really don't like certain cars, or certain cars really don't like certain tracks rather. So if you find yourself at a circuit where that car's just not working At least you have the second option. This is Nizmax's other car. It's the Porsche. It's the second time he's taking it out. Actually, it's the third. I think it's the third in 4 rounds. So, is the more popular choice of the two. Gavin also at the beginning of the season, I think he had a Lamborghini and he very quickly jumped ship, got back in the Bentley. Eleanor has gone second, he's gone quicker than Gavin. Just by a tenth, look at that, 1.1 seconds adrift from provisional pole, so that gap to pole is still over a second. But surely we'll see that close down in the next 8.5 minutes before this race gets underway. We're in the final stages of qualifying. There's a little bit of a view we ride on board with Sania, which will give you a bit of a feel for what this track really looks like from the driver's perspective. Look at this, blind left-handed down the hill, blind right-handed down the hill, blind left-handed, it just keeps on going. It's insane. Crazy track. You've got to be on the edge of the track, you've got to use all of the circuit, especially on this piece here. You've got to be so brave, but if you want to get that 2:01, you're going to have to give it everything. He's not going to do it on this lap. He's currently down by about 6/10. Just look at the speed here down the Conrod straight. With Sania currently sitting in 4th place, one of the Ferraris, trying to improve on his time. He's not going to improve this time round. See that on your screens, he's 6/10 of a second down on his personal best. He's going to start another lap. Let's ride on board with him. Let's just follow this lap. 6.5 minutes remaining in qualifying. This will give you a good sense of the entire circuit. Personally, I hate it when you start going up this hill, you know the trouble's about to begin. Oh, and maybe there was a bit of a commentator's curse, but I'm not going to take I'm not going to take any responsibility for that. Ride with Gavin for a while in the Bentley, currently in 3rd. He can find just 1/10 of a second, he'll improve, go into 2nd, start on the front row of the grid. But if he wants to start on the first slot, he's going to have to find 1.2 seconds, so it's going to be a difficult one. Four and a half minutes remaining in qualifying. This is the business end of qualifying. See how close he's getting to the barriers. looking for every inch, every tenth. And he needs to find a lot of them. He needs to find 1.2 seconds, giving it everything. He's not going to go faster on this lap. He's 1 second down, 1.1 seconds down on his previous best, but he's going to have chance for another lap. It's got 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, so he'll probably still get around twice. Just need to get over that start finish line before the checkered flag falls, and you'll be able to finish that lap. To everyone that's watching, thanks for watching. You see, the last week's stream was one of our best in terms of support. And 90% of those views came after the live broadcast, so thanks to everybody who did go and watch that after the race. Obviously, if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this after the race, thanks for watching. Leon remains in the pits. He set that lap time of a 2:01.401 and he hasn't gone back out. It's been good enough. No one's gotten anywhere near it. Doesn't feel the need to go out. He's sitting in the pits, doing his final preparations for the race, while some are still out on track frantically trying to get a better lap. And if this translates to race pace, we're going to have a very, very close midfield. I'd say we'd have a very close top 10, with the exception of Nick Leon's time, which is just absurd. But I'd say the rest of the top 10, those times look really close. They're basically stepping down in tenths. Eleanor 1.1 seconds adrift of pole, Gavin 1.2, Roadrunner 1.3, Sania 1.3. Nizmax 1.3, Clayton 1.4, and then Kuda 1.7, C8 1.9. So those top 9, to take the leader out of the equation, that's a very close race. It's going to be interesting to see cars racing each other here on Mount Panorama. Are the guys going to go for any crazy passes, or are they going to wait for the passes to happen in the pit stops? We'll all find out shortly. Just a minute and a half to go in qualifying. Just let me know as usual, like if anybody can give me feedback. How does it look? How does it sound? And hopefully from round 6. We're in round 4 now, so not next week, but hopefully from round 6 we're going to be able to increase the quality on the stream, because we're changing a little bit of tech here in the comms box. So bear with me for the next 2 rounds. I know the quality is stepped down, but it needs to be that way for now. Sania has gone second fastest, 8 tenths adrift, but he has put the Ferrari in second. That means so far it looks like we're going to have an all Ferrari front row, unless somebody can really find some fireworks in the last couple of seconds. Could even be after the checkered flag. Time has come to an end. Obviously the checkered flag now has fallen on the main straight, so if you cross that line after the checkered flag, you should be able to finish your lap time. If not, that's the end of your session. Nobody is classified as of yet. Everyone in the pits, that will be their session. Where is Sania? Sania's still throwing that Ferrari around from corner to corner. He's in second. Other cars on track. Roadrunner, Nismax, Kuda, and the boss. He's gone out. Much later on. He was very quiet in the pits for the first segment of qualifying. Chose to go out there when the track was a little bit quieter. The car's now coming to a standstill. Guys have accepted their position. They can't improve. The time has run out. So just 2 cars left running around on the circuit looking for better lap times. That's Roadrunner. He can go better if he just finds a tenth of a second. He can jump Gavpig. If he finds 2/10 of a second, he can jump Gavpig and Eleanor Pace. But he's not going to do that because he enters into the pits. There we go. Got your starting lineup. Nick Leon from Sania, from Eleanor Pace. We've got a Ferrari all front row. Then Gavin in 4th. Roadrunner 5th. Then we've got Nismax and Clay 6th and 7th. Kuda and Fluffy Butt 8th and 9th. Legend in 10th. We've got JD in 11th. Springbok Gamer in 12th. Mike DeGard in 13th. B Racing 14th. The Force is 15th, and then we have Supreza. Okay, I have 2 Forces on my screen. I'm sure you can see that. Yes, so we have Force in 15th and Supreza 16th. He did not set a lap time. See, watch out for Supreza. He is one of the quicker drivers in the field. He's going to be starting from the back, so that will be an interesting scenario. We now wait for the race to begin. Guys doing their final setup changes, final adjustments, making sure they work the fuel out correctly. Want to run out of fuel at Bathurst. So just a reminder of how it works. Top 15 all get points, ranging from 30 points for a win down to 5 points for 15. If you do manage to finish the race outside of the top 15 though, you will claim 1 point for participation. Obviously this week is round 4. We're here at Bathurst. Next week we'll be back to Thursday nights, back to the regular schedule for round 5, and that'll be Laguna Seca. Cars are lining up on the grid, still just doing their final touch-ups, final setup changes. Obviously in the Drivers' Championship, Nick Leon leads the championship, 75 points from Sania. He leads by 11 points, and then you've got Clay in 3rd. So that's your top 3 in the championship. Roadrunner 4th, Nismax in 5th, Supreza 6th. We wait now for the final stages, just so the game can get going. You can see the timer on the top of your screens. It's 1.5 minutes. Then the formation lap will get underway. Obviously after the formation lap, cars will not stop again. It will be a rolling start, and they will all hurdle off towards turn 1. Maybe being at the back there in 16th is the optimal place to be. You're going to get the best view of what's going on in front of you, and if there is any carnage, you can drive around it. If you're in the front, make sure you get into turn 1 first. But if you're in that midfield, I think it's going to be very busy, and guys are just going to have to wait for the race to settle down before they try and eat anything crazy. I mentioned in qualifying that the race would start at 4 AM track time. That appears not to be the case, because we see sunlight. So something inside the server not working as it should, or wasn't set as it should. But we'll just have to go with it. I think the guys were expecting it to be night, expecting to be using their headlights.
10 seconds.
5 seconds to go. Nation lap will get underway. There we go. You can see the cars getting off the line. It's going to be a very long formation lap. Long circuit this. Make sure you don't do anything silly on the formation lap. Got to warm up your tires, warm up your brakes. So if you've got some sort of decent temperature heading off into turn 1. Nick Leon from Senia, the 2 Ferraris. Leon was extremely quick in qualifying, followed by an Audi and a Bentley and another Audi. Roadrunner's Audi obviously kitted out with the Kyalami 9-hour livery. Much as I'd like to commentate for this entire 2-hour race, I don't think it's going to be possible. So if you're watching, I do apologize if this race cuts suddenly in the middle of it. But yeah, I've just been notified that I should be having load shedding in an hour. So fantastic. Load shedding doing the rounds in South Africa. But I've also heard that load shedding is going to be suspended at 10 o'clock, which is when my load shedding should begin. So if you do get a full stream to this race, you're lucky. But let's see how it goes. Be interesting to see how Nick Leon's pace translates into race pace. Did he have amazing 1-lap pace, but when it comes to race pace he's going to be more equalized to the drivers around him? Or is he going to be able to translate that 1 second into race pace? And pull a second and a lap out of the guys, and there's really no competition. See what he can do. Also, another thing to remember is you can be 2 seconds a lap faster, but here at Bathurst a mistake is not far away. You can make a mistake very quickly, damage your car, spend too much time in the pits, and all those extremely quick lap times will be for nothing, cancelled out in one silly pit stop. Get ready folks, it's finally time. The race is about to get underway. Nick Leon just backing up the field. It looks like Senia's slightly in front of him there. Probably a weird camera angle. Gonna go around this last corner, and when will he lift? When will he go?
Green light,
Actually, though, actually looks like Sania started in front of Nick Leon there. I'm not sure what happened there, but Nick Leon gets into turn 1 first, and that's, well, from what we saw, Sania was in front of Nick Leon, and I think that's quite a weird one. Nicely done into turn 1, no incidents we saw in round 1, 2 and 3, very clean between the drivers into turn 1, and that's nice to see. Gavin aggressive early on in the race, looking to make up positions, coming up on the outside there of the Ferrari. Where is your top 3? You've got Ferrari. Ooh, my timing screen just went crazy. Let it settle down. We'll wait for the next timing beam and then I'll tell you where everyone is. Here we go, Sania from Nick Leon, from Gavin. Eleanor in 4th, Nismax 5th, Kuda 6th. Roadrunner running around in 7th, and you got Legend in 8th, he's made up 2 positions. JD in 9th, Springbok Game in 10th, he's made up 3 positions. Having a good race so far. B Racing in 11th, Supreza 12th, Mike the God, sorry, not the Good, the God. He's in 13th, then you got the Boss in 14th, you got Clay 15th, he's lost a few positions. Not having a fun time, as well as Fluffy Butt, he started up in 9th, he's down in 16th place. Obviously had some sort of off-track excursion, and now he's going to have to get his head down and start all over again. There's Nismax in the Porsche, currently 5th, chasing down Eleanor all over the back of the Bentley. Gavin trying to keep up with the Ferraris. Action packed at the start of the race. It's a very long race circuit and it's a long race track, so I think later on we're going to see a lot of open spaces, a lot of lonely races, but for the time being enjoy the action, because I don't know how much longer it's going to last. It's Ferrari, from Bentley in 3rd, then Audi 4th, Porsche in 5th. 4 manufacturers make up the top 5, and that's the end of lap 1. Let's have a look further back in your field. Supreza not having a fantastic time of things. He obviously started at the back of the field, did not set the lap time, started in 16th, and he's on the way into the pits with what appears to be not very nice looking damage, so he could be in the pits for quite some time. Not the way he wanted to start the race. That obviously doesn't count towards your mandatory stop. Another thing I have not mentioned, because I just saw it on your screens, I probably should have read the rules a little closer, but see, round 1, 2 and 3 they were 90-minute races. Round 4 is being held on a Saturday night because it's slightly longer. It's a 2-hour race. And if you'll notice there, the mandatory stops have been upped from the regular 1 to 2. So these guys are each going to have to stop a minimum of 2 times. And if, in the case of Supreza, you'll end up doing that pit stop before the official pit window opens, unfortunately that pit stop will not count as a mandatory stop. So Supreza still has to do 2 pit stops after this one, just like everyone else on circuit. Another one of the Porsche drivers, B Racing, currently running around in 14th. Clay, I was going to say he's 13th, he's making up positions, he's just taken another. He's now in 12th. He's chasing down Force, who's currently in 11th, trying to defend for all he's worth. Wants to hold on to that position for as long as he can. Hasn't had the best start to the season. He's managed to finish 1 of the 3 rounds. So we'd like to get a good result here. Sure, everybody's put time in before Mount Panorama and everyone wants to finish this race and get a decent result, get something back for all the time they've spent practicing, and trust me guys, I've been practicing. Springbok Gamer in the solitary Lexus took the business in 10th place, smattering of cars in front of him. He can stay on the end of this tail. Good place to be. Them tow you around for now, let the race settle down. Find your feet. If you've got the speed, start taking positions one by one. You don't want to fall off the back of this field. You stay on the back of it. If anything happens up front, you can gain positions. Just stay as close as you can. You've got Kuda, he's within a second of Roadrunner. That's the battle for 6th place. Then we've got Roadrunner all over the back of Nick Leon, who in turn is all over the back of Gav, who in turn is all over the back of Nismax. So we have quite a train of cars forming here in the midfield. We saw in qualifying that the times in the midfield were incredibly close. So we should have a good race here in the midfield. So like I say, if the stream suddenly cuts at 10 o'clock, I do apologize, but load shedding is doing the rounds here in South Africa. Stay now with this train of cars. It's Nismax, Gavin, Nick Leon, Roadrunner, all chasing each other closely on each other's gearboxes. Damage can happen so quickly in this sort of situation, especially around this circuit, tight and twisty, undulations up and down. If you're all over the back of somebody's gearbox, it's so easy to miss a braking point, go into somebody, damage your own car. Blue flags out on track. I'm not sure who those blue flags are for. Frezer's in the pits. I don't think he's emerged from the pits. So not a good day for the two McLarens so far. They're sitting in 15th and 16th. I'm not sure if Frezer's going to rejoin this race. He's been in the pits for quite some time. Let's hope he has not walked away from this race, and we still have 16 runners and that he comes back. Time being, Sania leads by half a second from Eleanor Pace. He's followed by Nismax, Gavin, Nick Leon and Roadrunner. Those are your top 6. Kuda is in 7th. Legend's still doing a great job in 8th. He started in 10th, so he's made up 2 positions. JD, 9th place. The Springbok Gamer making up your top 10. Ten minutes down. Almost 10 minutes down. Luckily not a lot of damage, not a lot of pandemonium at the start of the race. I think the guys all understand now. Been in Sonic Sim for quite some time. Been doing endurance racing, if not on this game, on the previous game, for quite some time, and the guys know. You don't want to damage your car into turn 1 of an endurance race. It's pointless. And that's why we've seen 4 clean turn 1s in 4 rounds. It's great to see. 4 manufacturers, cover your top 5, because we've got 2 Ferraris in the top 5. Nick Leon has gone backwards, started this race in pole position. He's sitting in 5th at the moment, so that subliminal, that amazing qualifying pace has not worked out exactly the same in the race. You've got to remember there's multiple factors. We're running around with a heavy car. It's going to feel a lot different than it did in qualifying. Plus, don't forget, you've got cars all around. You've got cars trying to pass you, you've got cars you're trying to stay in front of, and it's not all about just braking point apex. In qualifying, when there's no one around you, those are the 2 things you focus on. You focus on your braking point and your apex. And then when you've done that, you repeat it. The next braking point and the next apex. When you've got cars all around you, you can't do that. So that's why sometimes we see some guys are very quick in qualifying and it doesn't quite translate. Speak from experience, actually, on the F1 game. My one lap pace is pretty decent, but I haven't got a podium in probably over 200 race starts. So yeah, I'm the Nico Hulkenberg of that game. Sania still leads for half a second. Then further half a second back in third, you've got Gavin in the Bentley. So the leaders still close together after the first 10 minutes of the race. Briefly had a yellow flag there, somebody leaving the circuit. Roadrunner falling off this tail. Roadrunner needs to do everything he can to catch up to this tail while they're fighting each other, while they're fighting for position. This is the best time to catch them and stay with them. If they are that little bit quicker than you, when they're fighting with each other, you can just get that little edge that you need. Let's ride with Gavin. Follows LNR up the hill. Look how close they get to the barriers. Really impressive stuff. Not just a game you can pick up and play. These guys have put in a lot of time. I would have crashed several times at this point. In fact, I once did a 45-minute practice session in Mount Panorama. And in that 45 minutes, I spent, I'd say 90% of that session out on track. I finished that session without a lap time. So, me and leaving the circuit, I don't know how I'd do about a 2-hour event. That's why I'm in the comms box. Guys don't want me out on the circuit. Especially on a track that has a corner called Hell. That's right, folks. Turn 1 in Bathurst, it's called Hell. Reading earlier when I saw that turn 1 was literally just called Hell. Corner's called Hell. So I needed to know. I was like, who named this corner and why is it called Hell? Apparently the corner is called Hell, but it has nothing to do with, well, it's got nothing to do with the nature of the corner. It's rather that many years ago, when this track was in its infancy, there was a tree stump on the apex of turn 1. And it was said that bikers who hit the tree stump would go to hell. So that is how Hell Corner got its name. Motorsport in the 1940s. What can you say? Conrad Straight, well, that's not original at all. Somebody's race literally ended on that straight. Say Conrad. Sania leads from LNR, that gap 7/10 of a second. Gavin 3rd, Nismax 4th, Roadrunner 5th, Kuda 6th. We are missing a driver. Are we missing a driver? No, we're not. We are missing a driver. I'll get to that in a second. Where is Nick Leon? Nick Leon is in the pits. The pit window is officially open, so this will count as one of his mandatory stops. Nick Leon is in the pits, so not having the first opening stint to the race he would have wanted. Top 4 still very close together. Seconds. approximately, covering the top 4. This Max starting to fall off the back of Gavin. Gavin doing everything to stay with the Audi and Ferrari that's in front of him. How much longer can Sania hold on to the lead of this race? He's coming under serious pressure. Surely we won't see a pass in this part of the racetrack, but Eleanor is all over the back of the Ferrari. He wants to get by. He knows he's faster. He's got the pace. And Sania is backing him up into Gavin, so he wants to get past. He wants to get on his way. And I'm not sure if that was an internet connection or what happened there. But we saw an incident, but everybody is... No. Did Eleanor hit the wall? Yes, he did. Hey, I thought that may have been an internet connection issue. Sometimes when the internet goes funny, you'll see a car fly through a wall. And Eleanor left the track quite aggressively. You haven't seen it on your timing screens just yet. And as I say that, there we go. You see him go down a place on your timing screens. The times on this game are not live. You need the cars to pass the next timing beam for these things to update. So Eleanor, he was all over the back of Sania, looking to take the lead of the race. And now he's heading off into the pit lane for what will be the first of his 2 mandatory stops. That's allowed Gavin now into 2nd place. He's got a clear view of the leader. Sure, he would have seen Eleanor in the previous few laps doing everything he could to get past the leader. He definitely had the pace. Couldn't find the right spot on track to do what he needed to do. Is Gavin faster than Sania? We'll find out. Gavin's 1.8 seconds down the road from your leader. And this Max a further 2 seconds down from Gavin, so the top 3 have opened up. 4 seconds cover the top 3. Going a bit crazy there. So just a reminder, if you are watching the stream, if the stream mysteriously cuts in about 30 minutes from now, I do apologize. But it's sort of out of my hands. Having a race of his own at the moment. In his own little bubble, he's in 5th place. This is a good result. We have our first penalty of the race. It's going to be a stop-go penalty for Legend. And I can see he's just got 1 mandatory stop next to his name, so that I believe would have happened in the pit lane. He obviously sped in the pit lane, went over that speed limit, and now he's going to have to go into the pits yet again, stop for 30 seconds and be on his way. And that's going to cost him dearly. He was in 8th place. He was having a fantastic race. But all you can do is get your head down and get back at it. Round 1, 2 and 3 were 90-minute races. And we've still got more than 90 minutes to go in this race. So, long way to go. Don't get too discouraged. Get your head down. Take a step back. Look at the situation. And figure out what you have to do differently. Take it from there, but don't panic now. This is the time for consistency. This is when you just need to set lap time after lap time after lap time. Very close lap times. Keep the consistency up. Can always pass these guys in the pit stops. Doesn't appear like any of the top 3 have any visible damage on their car, so I don't expect any long pit stops or surprising pit stops for any of our top 3. Samir does have a little bit of scuff marks on the front bumper. I hope I'm not imagining that, but I think he's got a bit of scuff marks on the bumper. But he looks to be still going very fast, so he might not even choose to repair that in the pit lane. Roadrunner 4th, Huda 5th, Audi's 4th and 5th. Both in their own lonely races for now. This Max so far will be happy with this. 3rd place in the Porsche. Stop and good go has been cleared for Legend, so he has served that stop go penalty. He still has 1 mandatory stop to his name. Eleanor, Clay, Fluffy Butt, Legend, Mike DeGard and Surpreza have all done 1 mandatory stop, which means they have 1 left to go. Nick Leon has done both his mandatory stops, but I doubt he can finish the next hour and a half without stopping again. He does become the first driver on the night to finish his mandatory stops. Let's ride with Gavin in that blue and neon yellow or green Bentley. He follows the leader up the hill. This is where the trouble started for Eleanor Pace. Got all over the back of this car in what I would say the wrong part of the track. It's not really where you're going to make a move. Want to stay close through this section, but he just lost control, hit the wall, and that was that. And that's how quickly things can end here in Bathurst. You can put in half an hour of concentration and it can end in a split second of bad judgment. We are now coming up on the back of Legend. This is a tricky part of the racetrack, but he gets out of the way easily. Gets onto the straight, and nicely done. Doesn't lose too much time for himself, and it didn't look like he cost any time for the leaders. Gavin has gotten closer, it appears. 0.4 of a second is the battle for the lead. As Max has dropped further back, the gap to 3rd now 3.1 seconds. The Audi's still 4th and 5th. Springbok Gamer having a fantastic race so far. He's in 6th place and he's crept up into 6th place without me even noticing, but that's guys that have made mistakes and have gone into the pits way earlier than they ever expected. Ferrari from Bentley from Porsche, followed by a duo of Audis. Now I almost thought Gavin was going to go side by side with the leader. Chooses not to, tucks behind him one more time. He's getting really close. He's lighting this Bentley up. All he needs is one of these corners. Gets better traction coming out of the corner onto the straight and he'll do it. But he needs to be close enough when that straight comes. And now just that gap growing a little bit. Needs to be really close on the straight. Thought about it. Saw the car twitch to the right. It looked towards the inside and said, no, not yet. Obviously winning any round of SSR Season 7 will mean a lot, but winning one of the 2-hour races, especially this one, Bathurst, basically the Monaco of this championship. Uniseca also a very challenging circuit coming up, but it doesn't have these barriers. This track would be one thing if it didn't have these barriers. But any mistake, sending you left or right off the circuit, you're going to be met with concrete and severe damage to your car. change at the front. The top three remain Linus Stone, Senior Gavin, and Nizmax. Rajan and Kuda stay 4th, 5th. B Racing up to 6th. Springbok Gamer is in 7th. He has lost a position to B Racing, it seems. JD 8th, Eleanor 9th. On a recovery drive, he was in 2nd, challenging for the lead very, very hard. Thought he had the pace to get into the lead and run away, but just either ran out of patience or made a mistake. That cost him the position, several positions. He had to go into the pits. He's now in 9th. No time for Sania to breathe. Needs to keep going. Gavin hot on the heels. Nizmax not far behind either. These two land up tangling. Nizmax is going to be around the next corner, so they also need to make sure they don't battle too much to bring Nizmax back into the situation and turn this into a trio. Especially if you're the man in the middle. If you're chasing someone down and you can see the guy behind you is catching you, it's going to make you just want to get past even quicker, because you know soon you're going to be sandwiched and you're not going to be able to dedicate all your concentration to getting past this guy. You're going to have to dedicate some of that concentration to watching your mirrors too. So you don't want to put yourself into that situation. You want to get past Sania now. Looks like the Bentley does have the pace. Unfortunately just falls a little too far behind on the most crucial parts of the racetrack. He gets really close on parts of the racetrack and he can't really pass. Sliding door slamming shut, because it is very Sania leads from Gavin from Nizmax. Top 3 remain the same. Let's go down your order, see what else is happening in this race. Kuda and Roadrunner stay 4th and 5th. B Racing still 6th. He picked up that position from Springbok Gamers. Springbok Gamers in 7th, and the only Lexus on the night. We have lost a driver, that is the driver force. He is no longer with us. We just have the 15 runners. That means if everybody does finish, they'll be in the points. Finish this race in last and still go home with 5 points. I need to correct myself. Surpreza's been sitting in the pits for a very, very long time. So I don't think Surpreza is still part of this race. That means we have 14 active runners. We have 15 people on your screen, but we have 14 active runners. Sania leads that pack of 14. Usually in the 90-minute races we have the one mandatory stop, and it's usually quite easy to work out. Most of the drivers will stop approximately halfway through the race, so within that period of 50 to 30 minutes you're going to get a lot of action in the pits. I haven't commentated on a 2-hour race of this nature before, so 2 mandatory stops. A little bit blind, don't really know when the leaders would like to come in. I'm going to guess with an hour and 15 minutes remaining we'll start seeing our first pit stops. You see, no matter the condition of your fuel, no matter the condition of your tires, you do have to stop twice. Then you also have the strategy, you can either fill your car at the start of the race, have shorter pit stops because you're just topping up with fuel, or you could really work out the fuel game. Then you don't want to get things wrong. We didn't see the change for the lead, but Gavin leads from Sania, and there's Max third. Roadrunner has made a pit stop, so he has gone down the order. He's now in 8th place, done one of his mandatory stops. The top 7 drivers have not made any of their stops. So that's Gavin, Sania, Nizmax, Kuda, B Racing, Springbok Gamer and JD yet to make any pit stop. Still 2 mandatory stops sitting next to their name. Seems like we've lost another driver. To see what is the situation here. Keep your eyes on Clay. He has been sitting in the pits for a while. Let's see if he does get going again, otherwise we may be down to 12 runners. Very challenging circuit, this would have been expected. Gavin leads. He's growing his gap ever so slightly, 2.9 seconds. Last time we had a look at that gap, it was 2.5 seconds. So he's found 4 tenths. And if he can keep on pulling that sort of time out of the Ferrari lap after lap and keep it consistent, he's in a very strong position going forward in this race. Done the first half hour of this race, that's right, we've done 1/4 of race distance. Gavin would have spent that quarter of race distance with cars in front of him. This will be the first time he'll have a clear track ahead of him and he can start setting those lap times. Not worried so much about that car in front of you's braking points and all of that. You can start worrying about your own driving, your own game. His gap has fallen according to our timing screens. It's 1.4 seconds, so he lost almost half of his advantage. Nizmax now all over the back of Sania. So we have seen it in previous rounds. Sania starting off very strong with qualifying, strong in the opening laps of the race, and then he starts to drop off. I'm not sure if he maybe doesn't handle aging tires as well, but we saw Eleanor Pace getting all over Sania, doing everything he could to get past. Obviously that ended in tragedy. He hit the wall, had to go into the pits, came out in 9th place. Then Gavin caught up to Sania and was able to get past. He's actually growing that gap again as we speak, 2.2 seconds. Now Nizmax all over the back of Sania. You can see Gavin getting up the road, wants to stay with that Bentley. He knows he's going to need to get past this Ferrari in order to do so. Doesn't look like he's sitting back, so he's not waiting for the pit stops to make the pass happen. He wants to make the pass on circuit, get himself up the road. Gavin leads 2.2 seconds. Sania second. Now, I'm going to let you enjoy the sound of that engine. Right on board with Nizmax, he's chasing Sania. We have a car there off the circuit. I'm not sure who that was. Seems like... Look at that. Sinia pulls the trigger. And did Nismax follow him in? Or was that just coincidence? Because that looked like coincidence. I didn't see any sudden move on the steering wheel. I didn't see any reaction to the pit stop. But he's gone in. Second and third go in on the same lap. I mean, we must keep our eyes on that. See who comes out first. Gavin's now up front by himself. You won't know that from his timing screens, because they still say Sydney is 5.5 seconds first. That is not the case. He's sitting in the pit stationary until Gavin goes over the next timing beam. We're going to see that gap jump. Now when Gavin needs to be consistent, needs to put in his lap times. Those behind him have pulled the trigger, they've pitted before him. Sometimes with the GT3s the overcut can even work. It takes you a little bit longer than expected to get those tyres up to temperature when you're coming out of the pits. If this guy's flying around doing consistent laps, it's going to increase that gap. Kuda now the man in second. He's been promoted. B racing third. We've got him at the top four now. Yet to do any sort of mandatory stop. We're actually riding on board with your leader Gavin. See what he's going to do on the next lap. Is he going to jump into the pits? Dive into the pits. Yes he does. He's driving in the middle there, I wasn't sure. Maybe he's listening to the stream, maybe he's playing games with me, but he was driving in the middle. But there we go. Get it slowed down in time. Make sure you slow it down in time. That is something that has cost Gavin results previously. Don't want to get any penalties. Remember, you have to do this twice. First pit stop and second pit stop. Make sure you don't go over that speed limit. It's really going to cost you. So Gavin has come to a standstill. Let's go back to Nismax. Nismax has come out of the pits ahead of Samir. He was able to... Samir not having a good time as we join. We'll see how he's doing. He's touching up against the concrete barrier. Not what you want to do just after a pit stop when the car's supposed to be at its best. He's well adrift from Nismax. 15.9 seconds adrift from Nismax. These two were on top of each other when they entered the pit lane. So he has not won in this scenario. Whatever happened, no reason for him to go into the pits. He stays out. We have a stop-go penalty. We have a stop-go penalty for somebody. We have a stop-go penalty for Gavin. Thought he looked a bit desperate on the brakes, entering into the pits. And that's why I said what I said. When I saw him jump on the brakes, I just thought of that speed limit. We have another penalty. We have another penalty. 10th place. Flush butt. Stop-go penalty. Just 10 seconds for him. Gavin's got the 30-second stop-go penalty, and this is really going to cost him. He was leading this race, and with the three cars in front of him all needing to pit, this has really cost Gavin in the long run. And now Nismax is potentially the leader of this race. And I wonder if he's realised it yet. This could all fall into the hands of the Porsche driver, currently in third. He's been third for most of the race, and now all of a sudden looks like he's going to take the lead. Two cars in front of him. JD in second, Kuda in first. Kuda has come into the pits. That is your leader. He's on the way into the pits, on the way into his box. Hasn't stopped just yet. through. We've got 2 stop-go penalties in the field, one for Fluffy Butt, that's 10 seconds, then one for Gaffic, that's 30 seconds. Gavin's going to have to come in, make that stop, not count as a mandatory stop, and that's going to cost him time. He's going to have to do 1 extra stint in the pit lane. That's a lot of time to recover. About 30 seconds, I'd say. Just an estimation. I have no idea. I should have done more data coming into the race, but every time I try and drive one of these cars, I remember why I'm in the box. I get here to sit from a distance and judge these guys driving when I am not able to drive these things. I love it. It's fantastic. Seeing this on your screens, unfortunately, just a little bit of internet issues on my side, but coverage is still holding on for now. It is 10 minutes to 10, and just want to give everybody who is still watching just a reminder that I may lose my power supply at 10 o'clock, so if the stream suddenly cuts, I do apologize in advance. But let's hope for the best. Well, I have just had a look at the schedule, and we may be in luck. We may get an end to this stream in fact, but it's going to be very touch and go. My load shedding is due to start at 10, and load shedding is due to be suspended at 10, so I might still get a power cut for a brief one. Let's hold tight. JD leads the race. He is yet to make a pit stop. He's doing a good job. Just needs to do the consistent laps. He's going to have to come to the pits at some stage. All the drivers still out there on the track. A reminder: slow down for that pit limit. See, 3 drivers, I think actually 4 drivers now, getting a stop-go penalty of some sort. Technically leading the race, because you know JD's going to have to come into the pits, and he's only 3 seconds up the road. So this is your leader. Get a bit of a helicopter cam going. Quite the scenic circuit. And just by looking at the circuit, you know it's extremely old, because no one would build a circuit like this today. In the mountains, on cliffs, doesn't really meet modern FIA standards. Shows you how much has changed. F1 race was once hosted here. F1 was even hosted at the Nürburgring, at the North Schleifer. Standards in F1 have changed a lot less of these really long circuits. Bathurst in its original form was over 20 miles long. this is a much shorter version of what very first drivers to visit this circuit will have experienced. Similar situation in South Africa. Our first Grand Prix was held in East London. That's a 3.8 kilometer circuit, but in its original form, and I believe 5 South African Grand Prix were hosted at that track in its original form. That track was 26 kilometers long. Kilometers around the metro of East London. Long tracks not as popular as they once were. Oh, having a really weird pattern here with the time of day. I did mention in qualifying that I expected the race to begin at 4 AM track time, which would mean it's dark, but that was not the case. The race started in daylight, so that information was obviously incorrect. I was told that the race would finish in daylight, but I see headlights switching on with an hour, just under an hour and 15 minutes to go, so we could very well have a full hour of night racing, and this was unexpected by all the drivers. I think the drivers would have expected a short stint at the start of the race in the dark, and the sun would have come up pretty quickly and they could get rid of those headlights, and I think they're going to be racing under headlights for a lot longer than what was anticipated. So hopefully you've done some practice of this circuit at night. I think it doesn't make a difference, it really does. Sometimes an apex just looks a little different in the dark. Miss your normal braking points if you're looking for a certain marker. Obviously there are braking markers. A lot of those markers get knocked off in the race when drivers leave the track. So a lot of guys will make visual markers on the circuit to know where to brake. And sometimes when the time of day changes, those visual brake markers disappear on you. It's going to be interesting to see how this race evolves. It's evolved into a night race. There's Max all over the back of JD. JD yet to pit, holding on to the lead for now. Nismax will want to get by. Wants to increase this lead to Sania. Just stamp his dominance on the race. Now is the time to start flicking your lights. Do what you can. Just distract that driver in front of you. Not seeing any flicking of the lights just yet. It's getting really close. There we go, Nismax gets through on the main straight, goes on the outside. JD didn't put up too much of a fight there into turn 1, just let the Porsche go on its way. I think he knows he still needs to pit. He's in a very different race, he's not in a race for the win. So he's let Nismax go rather than defending aggressively from Nismax and probably costing himself time. Let that Porsche get up the road. See if we can get some onboard footage. There we go, onboard footage of the leader, Nismax. See, it's getting darker, he's still got blue skies in places. It's going to get a lot worse than this. These guys prepared for a lengthy stint at night. Forward speaking to these guys after the race to get their reactions, actually. The real also looking to introduce into the broadcast as a cricket typical after the race with the top 3 drivers. We won't be doing that today. Still want to work out a few kinks in how we're going to do that exactly. Obviously these guys are on the PlayStation, I'm on the PC, I'm not on the party chat with them, so I would need their voices to come through the comms box like we're doing in the comms box. We need to figure out how to do that. Thanks to you. A good job, just lead lap times, off the lap. I wonder if he expected to lead this race. One thing that's awesome from a spectator point of view about racing is at night is you get to see those brakes. Look at this. This just looks fantastic. Brake discs burning up. I was not expecting a night race. I don't think anyone was. Obviously these settings need to be manually put into the server before the server begins. And we actually had an issue the whole day where we weren't sure if this race was going to take place because the ACC servers have been offline for most of the day. Literally came online probably an hour before we needed it to, and race almost got called off. Not called off, but it would have been rescheduled, but luckily we did get going. We are almost at the halfway mark. Listen to the guys that have just been racing in round 1, 2 and 3 and they're used to that 90-minute race. This is now approaching 2/3 distance under normal circumstances when you're entering into that final phase of the race. This time round you're still going to have an hour to go and it's going to be at night. Wouldn't it be great if some rain started falling? But unfortunately we know the weather forecast for this race and it is clear. We don't have to worry about any rain, any dodgy weather predictions. As Max still leads, JD still second, he's still yet to pit, the only man on the grid. 2 mandatory stops still remaining next to his name. I hope he knows he's got 2 mandatory stops. And not just the one. Because if he pits at the 1 hour mark, I'm under the impression he thinks he's got 1 mandatory stop. Surely he'll see that orange block does not clear after 1 pit stop. A reminder, I've got a notification to say that load shedding has been suspended, so hopefully the stream will continue till the end of the race. So some good news. See, like I was saying, going back to my previous point, I'm just a bit worried here. There's an hour and 5 minutes remaining in the race. JD has not done one of his 2 mandatory stops, and I'm wondering if he thinks it's a 1 mandatory stop like it has been in the rest of the season. He has to make 2 stops in the last hour of the race. In a strong position now, second, but when you take into mind that he has to stop twice, you can see him tumbling down that order because the field isn't as spread out as you think it is. I think all the way down to 8th they're actually pretty close, so if JD were to stop now, I think the best position he'd come out in is 9th. 9th or 8th. Obviously, Eleanor was having a very strong race at the start of the race, got himself up into second, started fighting Sania for the lead and made a mistake in the mountainous section of the racetrack, and that sent him tumbling down the order. He needed to make a pit stop for damage, and now he's on a recovery drive. He's doing a great job. He's in 6th place, got 2 Audi companions in front of him. The 3 Audis running line astern, Cuda, Roadrunner, Eleanor Pace in that order, 4th, 5th and 6th. But at the top, 3 manufacturers to be in: Porsche, Bentley and Ferrari. There are some other Porsche, Bentleys and Ferraris in the field that would probably disagree that they are in the car to be in. I would love to be in the party chat right now. I'd love to know what these guys are saying about the time of day. This has really complicated things. JD still yet to pit, running around in second. 1 hour 3 minutes remain. Sania third. He will take second place. He'll be promoted into second as soon as JD stops for one of his 2 mandatory stops. Through the 4th. He leads the Audi train. He's got Roadrunner not far behind him. And Eleanor in the 3rd Audi. Quite a ways down the road from these 2. Further 12 seconds down the road in 6th place. Here's the Springbok Gamer. Lonely race at this point in time. He's got 1 mandatory stop to go. Kevin's in 8th. He was in a very strong position. He could have probably won this race, but he just I saw it actually. He jumped on the brakes going into the pits, and it's just the first thing that went through my head is when I see somebody nervously jump on the pit on the brakes like that. It's usually because they're not slowing down quickly enough, and my worst fears did come true, and he did get that penalty, and it's cost him, so he's on a recovery drive of his own. B Racing, he's in 9th. Mike Dugard makes up the top 10. He is on his way into the pits, so I don't know how much longer he'll be in the top 10. Legends in 11th, but seems like he's a lap down on Mike Dugard, so I don't know if he's going to make up this position. I mean, screen's all a little bit complicated right now. A lot of action in the pits. JD has made the first of his mandatory stops. He has come out in 9th place. Predicted he'd come out in 8th or 9th. Comes out in 9th place, just behind the Porsche of B Racing. That's left Nizmax at the front of this race all by himself for the time being. He's not going to see any headlights in his mirrors. He'll be happy about that. Sania 12 and a half seconds down the road from him. Let's have a look if we can find some battles out on track. Have this one here, Roadrunner chasing Kuda.
We are halfway through, not over yet.
That's halfway distance if you didn't hear it. We have reached halfway distance. Just 1 hour to go in this race. But if you thought the last hour of the race was just going to get better, the temperature would just go up and the conditions would just get brighter as the day went on. But that is not what we got. I wonder if instead of the race starting at 4 AM, it simply started at 4 PM, because that would make a lot of sense. And if all the other calculations are correct, it means that this race will end at approximately midnight track time. So these guys are going to race deep into the night, and they're going to finish deep in the night. So get used to these headlights. If you can't see in front of you, get used to it. It's not going to get any better. Thank you to everybody who has been coming into the stream. Viewers are slightly down at the moment, but guys have been coming in, guys have been going back out. It is a long race, don't expect people to sit here for 2 hours, but guys do come back, check out. Thanks for all the likes on the channel. Obviously remember to subscribe to get all of our races. Get a notification every time we go online. And if you're sitting watching the race, and you own a PS4, and you own this game, and you want to play, why are you not? Obviously contact SSR on Discord. You can contact them through their Twitter channel. You can DM them on Twitter, or you can obviously find us on Discord. And let's get you out on the track. See, we do have space in the lobby for 20 drivers, so let's get 20 drivers at the start of a race hurtling down into turn 1. That would be great to see. We've had 17 drivers for the first 3 rounds, 16 for this one, I believe it was. May have been 17, but it was brief. We lost a driver very early on, that was Surpresa. So it seems like we have 13 runners, but Clay and Surpresa have been in the pits for... Well, Surpresa's been in the pits for the last 25 laps, and Clay's been in the pits for the last 15 laps. So we just have 11 runners left in this race. Casualties were something to be expected. Such a treacherous racetrack, such a long lap. It was bound to happen, and now with the night conditions, wouldn't be surprised. There's still more fireworks to come. No battles on track to speak of. I'd love to show you some battles, but there are none. Closest thing we have to a battle is Kuda on the back of B Racing. That gap is 9/10 of a second. Fantastic drive so far from the man on your screen here. Springbok Gamer sitting in 4th place. He's doing just what he needs to do. Consistent lap times. Let the people around him make mistakes. Stay in your own bubble. Keep a clean track. Set good lap times. They don't need to be the best lap times. They just need to be good and consistent. said it before on a previous stream. You can be a second and a half, even 2 seconds faster a lap. But if you're going to damage your car and you're going to spend extra time in the pits, all of that extra work, all of that extra risky driving, it's all been cancelled out. So maybe drive a little bit within yourself, but stay out of the barriers. Could be what gets you a surprising podium position. Speaking of surprising podium positions, Roadrunner up into third. He's been in the midfield for a majority of the race. Now he finds himself in a podium position. Car chasing him down is Springbok Gamer, but that is quite a substantial gap. Says he's 1 lap down, but I don't believe that. Let's just wait for the timing screens to update, because that would suggest to me that only the top 3 are on the lead lap. It still says plus 1 lap, so I wonder if that is the case. Do we only have... no, there we go. Time has updated, sorry about that. Springbok Gamer is 30 seconds adrift from that first potential podium spot, podium step rather, not podium spot. He's had podiums before, but that first podium spot, it's 30 seconds down the road, so you're going to have to find half a minute. How this has cost Gavin the 9th. Crucially though, I see something on screen that I didn't see. That happened off camera, but it seems like Gavin has made another stop, because that block next to his name is now green. That means he has no more mandatory stops and can go to the end of the race. So now I keep on saying consistency, but that's all what this track is all about. Now he's just got to put in lap after lap and make sure he doesn't get any damage. Make sure he doesn't visit his mechanics in the pits. He wants to have seen enough of the pits until the end of the race. When he goes back in there, it's because the race is over. He'll still get a podium spot here. Still plenty cars ahead of him to do mandatory stops, and we know that those take quite some time. This is not Formula 1 where a pit stop entry and exit of the pit lane is going to cost you approximately 25 seconds. This costs you a lot more. So Gavin can still get a decent result with the amount of cars ahead of him that still need to pit. 9th is not where it will end. Cars that have made all their mandatory stops. That would be Clay, who's no longer in the race, Legend, Mike, Gavin and Eleanor, as well as Kuda. They have done both mandatory stops. Cars that still need to make a mandatory stop, or 1 mandatory stop, that would be JDV Racing, Springbok Gamer, Roadrunner, Sania and your leader Nismax. That gap at the front, 14.2 seconds, so it has fallen just a little. Sania has found a second on the Porsche in front of him. He's not making a lot of leeway at the moment. They're obviously on very similar strategies, so he can't rely on Nismax's tyres dropping off towards the end of the race. They pulled the trigger at the same time, did their first mandatory stop at exactly the same time. They were on top of each other when they entered the pit lane, and when they came out they were over 15 seconds adrift. So not sure what happened either in Sania's pit stop or on his outlap. Something went horribly wrong. Gavin. Ooh. I was going to say he takes to the escape road. I thought he was getting out of the way for Kuda, but I think he's got severe damage on that car. Yeah, I think he's got severe damage. I don't know if that was an internet glitch, which it may have been. We saw him bounce from one wall to another. But I think Gavin does have damage. We'll keep an eye on him. He's on the grass there. Yeah, he's got damage. I think even the wheel in that car is not facing the right way, and that's why he's battling to drive in a straight line. Yes, that is something that happens in this game. I once had to finish a lap with my wheel upside down. So he's having a real hard time getting his way back to the pits, and we know how long this lap is. Luckily he is in sector 3, so just needs to get down this straight, get around one chicane, and then he's got a left-hander and he can get back into the pit entry and go get this car fixed. It's going to be a lengthy pit stop though, and hopefully for the sake of the championship he doesn't leave, stays in the race, picks up all the points he can get. Back at the front, Nismax leads from Sania, no change there. Springbok Gamer is up into third because Kuda has made his second mandatory stop. Top 3, Nismax, Sania, Springbok Gamer. Kuda has emerged from the pits. Gavin is in the pits getting that repair done. 5 cars, only 2 mandatory stops. That's B Racing, JD, Springbok Gamer, Sania and Nismax. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm going to leave you riding on board with Springbok Gamer, so you can enjoy the sounds of the Lexus and enjoy the sights of Mount Panorama. I'll be back with you in 5 minutes. problem here. Unfortunately, power is not supposed to be designed to have power tripping constantly. So, if you were missing audio, I do apologize. I'm not sure what audio you were missing, if you were missing my voice or if you were missing the game audio, but I do think you were missing audio for the last 30 minutes or so, so I do apologize. But 15 minutes to go. We're in the final stretch of this race. Guys will be holding on with everything they have now, starting to feel really tired. Obviously almost 11 o'clock local time here in South Africa. The guys will be starting to feel a bit tired. So been sitting in your rig. It's a 2-hour race, but remember, half an hour qualifying session and there was an hour practice session before that, and a lot of these guys have been driving since that practice session, so a lot of the guys have been sitting in their rig for about 4 hours and they'll already be feeling it at this point. See, if you were doing a 24-hour race, then this would be probably your first driver's stint. That's it. I mean the 4 hours in total, not the 2-hour race. That would be your first stint. 4-hour shot. And to think I've been invited to 24-hour races. Thank goodness I have done. Okay, just having a bit of connection issues on my side. I apologise. Having internet connectivity issues, having sound issues, having all sorts of issues here in Bathurst tonight. Nothing much I can do, I apologise. Just 10 minutes to go, bear with me. Completed 50 laps. Bathurst circuit, that translates to 300 kilometers race distance so far. 11 minutes to go. We're going to get another 5 laps in here, so we'll finish up around about 56, 57 laps, somewhere there. About 350 kilometers distance. Back at the front, 10 seconds between Lesnax and Kuda. That we've got on track between the two Audis. Riding at the second of those Audis, Eleanor Pace is on the back of Kuda. These two have been running line astern earlier on in the race, and I didn't see any malicious moves from either one. They were pretty happy to ride line astern. But Will Eleanor just in second place, so close in front of him. Made the move. It would be a risky one at that. Gets out of the way for both cars. Nicely done. Got the situational awareness there to know there was two of them. I've seen in the past where a guy will get out of the way, do everything right, and then jump back on the racing line, not realising there was a second car there. Really mess up the battle. them are now almost side by side with Kuda. They go down the hill. Kuda's going to have the inside there into the right-hander. Ooh, and Kuda's off the circuit. Kuda's off the circuit. There was contact. I think there was definitely contact between the two Audis. We didn't have the best camera angle to confirm that. But Kuda now in recovery mode in third place. That car's got damage. He's battered to get around the corner. I think that car's got damage. How far behind is Springbok Gamer? Watch Kuda's face. How bad is that damage? How can that car around the track? Does he need to pit? I think he's going to pit 7.5 minutes remaining. Just take it to the end. Real nightmare to drive, and it appears like it is a real nightmare to drive. He's already lost 10 seconds to the Audi ahead of him. Is on his way to the pits. Where is Springbok Gamer? Please find himself on the podium after a very up and down race, but I think it was definitely contact between those Audis. I wonder if there will be words after the race. What exactly took place. Front is continuing to come down, but it's not coming down at any rate that I think the dog would catch this max. 8.1 seconds. Three laps left in this race. Even have to find a second two, he'd have to climb and choose the lap. Still in the pits, and as I say that, he's on his way. Or is he too far? No, he's gone fast. Timing screen hasn't updated, but I think Springbok Gaming should give confirmation of that. When he goes over the timing beam, there we go. In the podium position, it's fantastic. Well, you don't have to be the fastest driver on track, you just need to race your own race. Stay out of the pits. Just do the 2 mandatory stops. You absolutely need to spend no more time stationary. That's what he's done tonight, and he's got himself third place. That I could not have predicted to qualify. Final stages of this race. That should work. 3.5 minutes to go. For the lead, briefly touches 7 seconds, just dipping under 8. There we go, it's dipped again, 7.1 seconds. In these closing stages, leader's just trying to get this car home. Doesn't mind losing a few tenths here and there. Coming up on the back of B Racing. We would have wanted to get past there on the main straights. Gonna have to follow him a little bit longer. That gap to second, now 7 seconds, so he's lost another tenth to Eleanor. He's still behind B Racing. He's going to want to get past. There we go. Porsche gets past the Porsche. The leader is empty track ahead of him yet again. Now Eleanor is going to have to get past B Racing. So if he did gain any time on Nismax, that should even itself out. 5 seconds, so he did gain half a second, 5 tenths. Is approaching the third sector, so I think we're still going to get one more lap after this. Sure, he wishes he had a bigger gap. Could just slow down and make this the last lap. To go. There will be one more lap after this one. This next goes around the final corner. Still 45 seconds on the clock as he goes over the
lap. Give it all you can.
There we go, leader on the final lap. Confirmation from the whatever it is, engineer, steward. Got to hold out for one more lap. That gap is 5.1 seconds. Don't think he's going to catch the Porsche in front of him. Springbok game a third. Just wants to bring this car home. Doesn't have to worry about the Audi behind him. He's 25 seconds adrift. Can virtually crawl home and get this podium. Just got the straight left to contend with. One chicane and one left-hander. Stay with your leader for the final lap. Just to see, Eleanor has not cleared B Racing. He's behind B Racing, so if there was any threat, I think it's gone now. We're about to enter the final sector of the final lap of this 2-hour endurance race. These guys must be exhausted, because I am. And all I do is talk. Go Nismax contends with the chicane one last time as he approaches the final corner, and he's going to win at Mount Panorama in Bathurst here in Australia, round 4. 30 points in the
Leader has
bag.
finished the race.
Nizmax, there's your winner. Eleanor comes over the line, not far behind, just 3 seconds down the road. He comes over in second. And now we'll go down to your final podium finisher, who's still in sector 2. He wants to bring this car home. B Racing has been classified. He is 5th. So 1st, 2nd and 5th all classified. The rest of the guys still making their way around the track. Just 10 runners from the 17 that started. We lost almost half our field. Samir has been classified. He is 6th. Legend has been classified. He is 10th. Those cars have completed their race distance. We now wait for Springbok Gamer, Kuda, JD, Roadrunner and Mike DeGard. Mike DeGard has been classified. He goes over the line, so he's going to get points for 9th place. We wait now for 3rd, 4th, 7th and 8th. JD has been classified 7th. Right now with Springbok Gamer, he goes around the final corner to pick up the final podium position. And I think he's going to be very happy with that. Fantastic. Nicely done. Just wait for Kuda. And a bit of bad luck in the end stages of that race, and he's going to come over the line in 4th. We now just wait for Roadrunner. Final car on the circuit. He's just going around the final corner, and that's that. So let me just go through this list real quick before it disappears. Nizmax obviously winning the race from Eleanor Pace, from Springbok Gamer. That is your podium positions 1, 2 and 3. Then in 4th you've got Kuda, 5th B Racing, 6th Sania, 7th JD, 8th the Roadrunner, 9th Mike DeGard, 10th was Legend. Those were your runners. Then unfortunately not finishing the race, Gavin, Fluffy Butt, Nick Leon, Clay, Force, Surpresa, and for some reason the second Force on my screen. I think it's because Force selected 2 cars. There we go. But thank you very much to everybody who has joined us for this pretty lengthy event that's ended quite late. But if you're still with us, if you've watched the stream to completion, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for watching. If you're going to watch this later on after the live broadcast, thanks very much. Leave a like on the stream, and I'll be back in a couple of days on Thursday night for round 5. So will all of these guys, and we'll be in Laguna Seca, California, USA. Very different race circuit to this one, and see what happens there. Some of the guys needing to make some serious comebacks after losing serious points in this round. So the likes of Nick Leon, Surpresa, Gavin, all needing to have strong performances in round 5. Join us on Thursday to see how that goes. I'm Jonathan, I've been your commentator for tonight. Hope you enjoyed. I did. See you for round 5. Cheers guys.